Haridas Thakur said, I know that when Vasudeva Datta submitted his prayer, that I cannot bear to see the sufferings of all these conditioned souls in this world. So please, my Lord, please let me suffer their karma so that they can all be delivered. And Mahaprabhu told Vasudeva Dutt that because you're a pure devotee of Krishna, Krishna will fulfill your desire without you having to suffer the consequences. So, in light of the whole universe being delivered during the Leela of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can understand that the individual deliverance of such souls as Jagai and Madhai, Rakasananda Saraswati, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, or what to speak of the deliverance of Rupa and Sanatan from their government services, is not the full display of his Leela, but indications of events that are yet to be fulfilled, not during his manifest Leela, but for the duration of this Kaliyuga. Lord Gauranga gave indications of future eventualities yet to come, when thousands of Jagayas and Madhayas could be delivered of their karmic overload, when thousands of offenders like Gopal Chapala could be relieved of their offense, when many thousands of persons with great opulence would give it all up to live as beggars, when great thinkers swollen with the egotism that usually accompanies academic achievement and philosophical mastery would understand that their intellectual achievements are no better than the dung of a boar, and feeling irresistibly attracted to the mellows of Vrindavan, surrender at the lotus feet of Bhakti Devi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave indications of the potency of the holy name to give hope and encouragement for those of us living in the rest of the age. So, when the Lord appears in his original feature as the avatari, all the avatars are contained within him, as we were discussing this morning. And when the Lord takes upon in his original feature, takes upon himself the task of preaching, there is no need for a separate Yuga avatar, because the function of the Yuga avatar is fulfilled and surpassed in his Leela. So, when the avatars, the Yuga avatars descend in this world, they give a process of Vaidhi Bhakti by which one can attain Vaikuntha. There are exceptions, as when Lord Ram awarded the sages of Dandakaranya the privilege of taking birth as gopis in a future Leela. But generally, the Yuga Dharma given by the majestic Yuga avatars can award the destination of Vaikuntha. A higher achievement simply is not awarded by the Yuga avatars. But Prabodhananda Saraswati explains that the direction to prema as the ultimate goal of life, which was previously never conceived, the honey-sweet nectar of the mellows of Vrindavan, which was previously not attainable, and the highest summit of devotional perfection, Srimati Radharani, who was previously not understood. All these gifts and so much more, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has offered to this world. Since the holy name of the Lord is especially involved in delivering the fallen and conditioned souls, one may question why, in the other ages, such very difficult processes of Yuga Dharma are preached. In the Satya Yuga, the process of self-realization is meditation, taking periods like 60,000 years. In the Treta Yuga, it is sacrifice. In the Dwapara Yuga, it is worship. In the Kaliyuga, there is no other means than the chanting of the holy name. But the chanting of the holy name pervades all the ages as the Taraka Brahmanam, the deliverer of the fallen souls. So we may wonder why, in the most degraded age, the highest form of self-realization, which bestows pure love of God, is given as the Yuga Dharma. The Lord was contemplating, regarding his appearance in the Kali Yuga, that for a very severe disease, a very strong remedy is required. So in the Kali Yuga, since the living entities are not inclined to follow religious principles, and they are especially condemned due to their nature of blaspheming the great souls, which is the first offense to the holy name, they have no other shelter or recourse than the holy name. So, the Yuga avatars generally cannot bestow Krishna prema. They can bestow the kind of prema known in Vaikuntha. And that Vaikuntha is like generally in a kingdom, the highest achievement for any of the residents would be to be admitted into the court of the king. To actually be adopted by the king as one of his intimate family members is not within the possible achievement of most of the citizens of any kingdom. And yet, if the king so desired to extend his mercy and accept someone in his kingdom into his intimate family, that is his prerogative. So the kingdom, or the court of the king, is like Vaikuntha, whereas the innermost chambers of the king's family residence is like Goloka. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears, he offers not prema in the spirit of majesty, but the utmost essence of prem, the love of the Brijabasis, and the loving devotion in pursuit of those most elevated devotees. After the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from this world, Prabodhananda Saraswati was lamenting that that same city where you resided, Jagannath Puri, on the shore of the ocean, is still there. And the holy Dham of Navadvip is still there. And many of the devotees are still present in this world. But where, oh where is that festival of ecstatic love that was known during your manifest Leela? Hey Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you're the ocean of compassion. Will you ever see your divine pastimes manifesting again? So we can see that not too long after the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his religion of universal love, rather than expanding, appeared to be headed for extinction. To such an extent that at the time of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, with all his abilities and potencies, he could not even find a copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So those who would conclude that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission was headed toward extinction could not be said to have entirely faulty reasoning. And yet, if you consider Mahaprabhu's mission in terms of planting seeds, there are different stages in the growth of seeds. First, you gather them together and place them in the corner of the field. And then you broadcast them in the field. Then you harrow them in. And then you don't see the effects for some time. But in the course of time, after the rain, you see gradually little fructification here and there. And gradually, the whole field is covered with new growth. So Mahaprabhu gave indications of the effects of the holy name. And then, in course of time, the effects began manifesting in different places in this world. So when the Supreme Lord descends, having as his primary purpose relishing his own sweetness, as well as Srimati Radharani's love for him, then the result of his preaching is not simply prem in the spirit of majesty, but the utmost essence, the predominantly amorous affection of the Brijabasis. That is the gift which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed upon this world. And therefore, when Srila Prabhupada came, and the devotees were suggesting that his movement be called the International Society for God Consciousness, Srila Prabhupada said, no, it must be the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, because Krishna means all attractive. And this world has heard so much about the glory and majesty of Godhead, but this world has not heard so much or known so much about the sweetness of Krishna. Krishna is a form of God who is more natural than supernatural, more lovable. The world has heard so much about the glory of God, but was needing to know about the sweetness of God. And that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed, and that Srila Prabhupada brought. So, in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a description of the Kaliyuga, which is a little different perspective than that given in the 12th canto. In the 12th canto, the Kaliyuga is described as an age when degradation and sinful activity arises to the point where finally Kalki just comes and destroys everyone. And Shukadeva Goswami explains in his descriptions of the Kaliyuga in the 12th canto that even though the living entities can become delivered simply by chanting of the holy name, very few will take up the chanting. Whereas Karabhajana Muni gives a different perspective in the 11th canto. He describes the same kind of degradation which will be characteristic of this age. But he says that there will be many devotees in this age. And the residents of the other ages, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, the residents of the higher planets will be praying to take birth in this age of Kali. And that is because of the gift which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is very rare, even in Vaikuntha. What to speak of the heavenly planets, what to speak of the other ages. And therefore this Kali Yuga, although the most condemned of all ages, has its one great redeeming quality. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan asti hekyo mahagunaha kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha param bhajet. And simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can achieve the supreme destination of Goloka Vrindavan. So when Mahaprabhu was present in this world, even those who avoided him, even those who criticized him, who stayed a distance from him, were all delivered. What to speak of those who were favorable towards him, who served him, who surrendered unto him? They all became eligible for entrance into those sweet and holy groves of Vrindavan. And that is the destination which Srila Prabhupada has come to inform us and attract us to achieve. Golokera Prema Dana Harinam Sankirtana. The treasure of Golok, these sweet, intimate, loving exchanges between the Brijavasis and their Lord, is the gift which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to experience for himself, and in so doing to share it with the world. And that is also the gift which Srila Prabhupada has come to offer us. So let us assist in his mission, by which we can attain the highest perfection of spiritual life, not obtainable in other ages, but only in the Kaliyuga. And of all the Kaliyugas, the one out of 1,000, when the Lord comes in his original feature, only once in a day of Brahma, 8.6 billion years, is this gift so readily and easily available. So where were we at that time 500 years ago? To have missed such a golden opportunity, not to be achieved again for another 8,600,000,000 years. But Mahaprabhu personally delivered everyone in the universe during the time of his Leela, and he left a process by which anyone in the remainder of the Kali Yuga could attain that same supreme destination. The destination is the same, the price is a little bit different, because now our liberation is not guaranteed as it was during the time of his manifest Leela. There is a qualification required, that we chant the holy name of the Lord, follow the regulative principles, and avoid the offenses. And if we do so sincerely, we can achieve the same benefit as living in the universe during the time of this manifest Leela 500 years ago. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maharaj. His Holiness Barsana Maharaj has spoken so eloquently on the unique treasure that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has revealed to the world. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami tells that there are many avatars who teach us the process of loving service to the Lord. The Lord, who is the supreme master of all living beings. But the sweetness, the intimacy of the love of Vrindavan, only Krishna himself can bestow that upon anyone. So therefore, once in a day of Brahma, when Lord Krishna personally descends from Krishna Loka, along with his most intimate associates, Sri Radha, Lalita, Vishaka, Sri Dama, Subala, the Yamuna, Sri Govardhan, and the land of Braj. What great mercy. And when that same Krishna in his original form descends to taste the sweetness of Radharani's love, he gives that same realization of the most intimate perfection of love of God so freely, without discrimination of who is fit or who is unfit. Therefore, this age of Kali Yuga is most glorious. When we read the Srimad Bhagavatam about the symptoms of Kali, it is abominable. People of other ages could not even conceive of the barbaric, uncultured, sinful ways that are prominent in this age. It's simply unbelievable. It was rare when someone was demoniac in previous ages. But in Kaliyuga, even pious people are sinful by proper calculations. Parsana Maharaj explained that in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Karabhajana Muni, he described how the Lord appears in every yuga and what the process of worshipping is. In Satya Yuga, the Lord appears in a beautiful white complexion with 4 arms. And he goes by many names such as Hamsa and Suparna. And he teaches the Yuga Dharma, austerity, meditation, going to a secluded place and learning to totally restrain one's mind and senses and fix one's consciousness on the form of the Lord within your heart. And if you do that, without interruption, for 60,000 years, you can attain love of God. In Treta Yuga, the Lord appears in a red form. And he teaches the process of yajna. He goes by names such as Vishnu and Yajna. And he teaches the proper method of fire sacrifices and the chanting of mantras. But it's so difficult. One has to be so learned. Every mantra has to be precisely pronounced with the exact proper meter, and you have to be doing these yajnas without any mistake for thousands of years. And people could do it. If you were really serious, you would do it. And in Dwapara Yuga, Karabhajana Muni declares that the Lord appears in a form that is like a blue lotus. Most beautiful. And he is like a king. And he teaches to worship himself. Or for those who are not directly with him, to worship him in the temple. And such temple worship has to be done meticulously. In that Yuga avatar, he goes by names such as Vasudeva and Shankarshan. But in the Kali Yuga, all of these previous processes are, for all practical purposes, impossible for even the most elevated personalities. Because of such sinful deeds in the atmosphere, everyone's affected. People have short lives, short memories, very little control over their senses, what to speak of their mind. Therefore, Narada Muni quotes from Karabhajana Muni in his discussion with King Nimi. What is the glory of Kali? Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam Sango Pangarsha Parashanam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayaya Janti Hishumetasha. Those who have good intelligence in this age of Kali, they will worship the Supreme Lord who appears in a complexion that is not black. Now our acharyas explain this specifically can only mean Lord Chaitanya. Because in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Garga Muni, when he sees Krishna, he tells Nanda Maharaj that your son has appeared in different colors in different ages. He has appeared in a white form, a red form, a golden form, and now he is in a black form. So that means the Lord in the age of Kali comes in a golden form. And how is he worshipped? He's worshipped through the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And he continues to explain how Kaliyuga is the most fortunate time to be born. Because there's so much suffering. And the process of self-realization is so simple. As Maharaj was saying, the chanting of the holy name in every age will award love of God if you chant sincerely without offense. However, people were so highly qualified that they generally just didn't do it. They went for 60,000 years of meditation because they could do it. It was a challenge, and they did it. Most people became liberated. They attained love of God. In Treta Yuga, they did those yajnas. But in Kali, it's impossible. You see, in previous ages, people were very, very pious, and therefore there was very little suffering. But in Kali Yuga, there's diseases, AIDS, hepatitis, cancer, heart disease. These didn't exist in any other age. Please understand, these are Kali Yuga diseases. Some of them didn't even exist 100 years ago within Kali Yuga. They're just getting more and more. And the more they find cures, the more worse ones come upon us. You can't solve sinful karma by any material arrangement. You have to suffer one way or another according to our sins. That is the laws of nature. If you cure one disease, but you do those sins, you're just going to get something else. We cannot fight the laws of nature and win. So yes, Kali Yuga, there's starvation. There's wars. Practically every nation in the world at any time could be bombed. They used to call this place Bombay. Now it's Mumbai, but that doesn't protect us anymore. There's bombs pointed right here, 24 hours a day, and some madman just has to push a button. It's a reality. And there's little bombs in us. Some little cancer disease, or hepatitis disease, or heart disease, or tuberculosis disease. There's so much contamination. And the nature of the pollution, driving cars, Prabhupada said, at breakneck speed.